Hey,
Oops.
everyone. You're good. Ken, you're good. You're good. Yes. Ken is back. I'm Rod. There's a Josh down here.
Hey,
Or
wait.
up here. Or up here. Or up here.
Hey.
No.
Hey.
Guess what time it is, Rod? It's time for. Oh! Hey, wait. It's not working. Oh, there we go. Hey.
I should say- You don't talk after that.
You just talked all the way through it. What are you talking about, Rod?
I mean, I don't know what is.
Welcome
transitioning
to
this
episode
show.
101 of Murder Moose Podcast, part of the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. It's in the
It's
game.
in the game.
We are here with our favorite guest ever. 3 in a row, a three-peat. Like, come on, continue. Like, new. Oh, like, I
I'm
love
honored.
having guests.
I'm honored.
Yes.
Thank you.
I love having guests too. Ken's awesome, and she suggested another cool one this week. Because I'd never seen it. I know Josh you had seen.
It's a
this
Canadian
before.
film, so which is weird because it's called American Mary, but it's a Canadian film, and
Yeah.
I've been obsessed with this actress for a long time, but she's like the Canadian dreamboat. She's
Yeah.
so good in this too, and
Yeah.
everything I've seen her in, actually, like all the Canadian movies I've seen her in, I've just
Yeah.
been like obsessed with what she brings to the table.
I thought, like, watching it, I had to look it up like mid movie. I'm like, she doesn't look much different from Ginger Snaps, and
It
like
is her,
there was a couple year difference, like at least like that came out in like the early aughts, I thought, and it's just like, let me see, when did that movie come out? Yeah. 2000. No, it came out in 2000. So this is 12 years after that, and she looks identical.
Yep.
Maybe, I mean, she looks a little older, but it's like, damn, that girl has been aging well. She's older than me. She was born in 81, and I'm like, this movie was, so that means that movie, when this movie came out, she was like 31. She looked great.
She looks amazing.
Yeah, it's the like med school thing, right? Because med school takes like approximately 8 years to go through, and you're just like, oh, okay, this is why, because you've been in med school for all your life.
You've been in high school and then college and then pre-med and then med and then resident.
Yeah, man,
I'm trying to think back, like, because this movie came out in 2008, and that was definitely the time that was, you know,
Tall Josh.
12?
Yeah, 2012.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's even like, no, that makes a lot more sense. But still, I'm trying to like think back to how this movie got on my radar, but I'm pretty sure it was just like the Blockbuster or Rogers Video like wall, and Canadian movies always get more like wall space if they're something like this. But like, yeah, I
Well,
don't know.
It was directed by those sisters that are like do a lot. The Jen Soska and Sylvia Soska, that like they have some other name, like something sisters or something like that. T from Handle was Scared was like probably be able to school our dumbasses with like the name, but yeah.
Oh yeah, have you seen Rabid too? Like, it's not as good. They made a sequel to it as well, but
They made it was a remake of the Cronenberg film, yeah, which I'd never seen the original. That was like Cronenberg back in the 70s when he was doing his crazy Cronenberg shit. Which, I mean,
I've just seen so many weird movies that I didn't even know were connected to one another and stuff. I guess I just love Canadian like horror films.
Holy shit, I'm stupid. I just realized she was the fucking chick in Freddy versus Jason.
You just did?
Yes, just like literally.
It's because it was all filmed in Vancouver, and Ginger Snaps, like, because it's like there's the University for Film in Calgary, like SAIT or something, and they use Ginger Snaps as like half of the curriculum because the person who made the film came from that school. So they're like, okay, you're going to learn how to be a real filmmaker from someone who actually took this course. Kind of cool.
Ginger Snaps is such a it's one of those like underground movie, or not even underground, but like one of those movies that like horror fiends will like tell you on, like in whatever. But like, I don't think many people in the like non-horror community have seen it. Like, it's not like American Werewolf in London, like that, right? It's like, yeah, it's one of those movies that like, if you love horror and you're willing to go dive into weird things, Ginger Snaps is awesome. And I've never seen the sequels. I know there's like 2 sequels at least.
I've never seen the sequels either, but it's still so good. I feel like Ginger Snaps for like werewolf movies has kind of like the same sort of like indie and attention to detail vibe as like Let the Right One In, but still like North American.
It does that thing where it's the whole like what getting your period does to a woman, and they turn it into a werewolf. And it's just like it's what it is, man. And it's just so. Well, how the fuck are you two doing? How are you doing, Ken? How are you doing, Josh? How is everything going? You guys doing good?
Doing fabulous. Thank you for asking.
I'm good. It's good.
Hey man, like life is I don't know. The amount of just like, I can't even go into any of it, but it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I feel so like, I don't know, like enlightenment and like I've been able to just like rise above just toxic stupidity and bullshit in my life that doesn't need to be like this. And I don't know, I'm just my positivity and my family time and all that stuff, it's just it replenishes my soul. And doing shows like this and watching horror movies and I don't know, like I had a really deep conversation with someone yesterday who like has worked at university for like, you know, over 20 years and stuff, and like the difference between like how people like us who are super into horror movies watch it in a completely different way, where like she's not into horror and she would be able to like get taken away with the character and it would really disturb her and affect her. And for me, it was like, you know, being a filmmaker and a podcaster and like a reviewer of movies, it's not that at all anymore. It's the art. There's so many different like layers, and I've seen behind the curtain and I know the people that make it, and like there's so many different aspects to it that go into my viewing of a horror movie. So like, I don't know, like seeing a movie like this to dive back in, have amazing guests. There's so much like positive shit in the world to look forward to. I don't know, man. I love you guys. I got to say it. And we're here for another week.
I appreciate your positivity so much. Every time that I get to hang out with you guys, I'm like, it's just so nice because Josh is so positive and we're having so much fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. I like, as I've gotten older, man, I turned 39 a couple of weeks ago. It's like you're sitting there going, you kind of have to choose in this world to be positive, because if you don't and you go down those routes and you go down those fucking wells of like negative, it's easy to do. I mean, it's like you turn on cable news and it's just negativity 24/7, right? And like Twitter, and like I try to avoid that shit. Like, and I learned probably in the last couple of years, I was like, if like anything's like a bummer on Twitter, I'm just like block and mute, and it's just stuff like that. And it's just like, I mean, it's the same thing. Like we don't try to, like, we've trashed a couple movies on this podcast, but like we don't, like, that's not what we want to do. It's like we want to love film, you know, love this stuff and just have a good time with it. And it's like, even when one of us a film hits like one of us differently, it's like the other one usually has a lot of good shit to say. So it's like,
well, it's not even that. Like, we don't want it to be like a biased or to have it be like, oh yeah, they're just like fluff. Like they're not actually going to give it a real review because I don't want it to like be so toxically the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish here either. But like for the most part, we have such a love for horror movies in general. And if a movie is going to not have that ability, we don't do it on the show. Like, you won't hear it from us but also there are in betweens that, you know, having the polar opposite, like I, as hard as that episode was to do, with the body or whatever episode, I've totally,
Crimes of the Future Past or Crimes
yeah,
of the Future.
I just really wasn't. You say that every time. I just really wasn't like feeling that week in general. So like,
Yeah.
it was just, it was what it was, and I feel like if we shy away from it too much, even though, I don't know, like what I'm getting at is we were trying to do a lot more like indie movies, and we have a little more responsibility on our shoulders as help to the horror community and helping a movie out, like with even like our tiny platform that we do have as Murder Moose, it helps movies out. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen it in the past with my YouTube channel. I've done a review of like underground movies. Those ones gain traction over time and are now like the most viewed reviews on my channel, but they use that as like a tool to help, you know, advertise their own indie movie to a different audience. So they send traffic to this type of stuff. So, you know, there is more of responsibility to kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. And it's just like being positive is just like again, you're not like, you made a point. Like, we not want to be. There are the fucking the people say it, toxic positivity is a thing. Like, it's like you're positive no matter what, and like, nah, man, like that's not how this world works. You can't just like be positive no matter what. But like, I think just trying to have a positive outlook on like life and everything like that just makes it easier to have, you know, a good day, or, you know, a good week, or even a good like hour, you know, like it doesn't matter. It's just like, it's the slow steps, right? So
it's always a choice, man. It's always a choice.
Awesome people like you two, it's just always like, it makes me happy. So also, I got to go see a awesome concert at Red Rocks last week. So I got to go see In This Moment and Black Veil Brides. Their crew lost their gear. They didn't play. So it was just,
that's the second time you've said that about a show.
Yeah, like the last time I left before they even played, I was like, okay, I'm going home now. But
what the hell?
It was like a 4-hour drive. But yeah, so yeah, it was Red Rocks is such a cool like thing. We picked the wrong parking lot though, like, and you had like a mile and a half like hike uphill to get to the venue from, and it's just like my wife and I was just like it's just like, yeah, it's kind of brutal, but like, it's
there are a lot of people there.
Yeah, it was sold out. It was like,
oh wow,
there's like 16,000 people there or something in that like venue.
Holy shit.
But it's outdoors and like super cool. I love it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I would love to do that.
Well, if you ever want to come to Red Rocks, I literally can see it out my window. Like, it's like 10 minutes away, but you could like, you look out my bedroom window like this way and you can see it, and it's just like, yes. So,
that's really cool.
Have you guys been watching anything else like horror related?
Not horror. There's a bunch of stuff on fucking Shudder I really want to watch. Like that movie with the guy from True Blood and J.K. Simmons, where J.K. Simmons plays like a Cthulhu like god, and he's talking to the guy from True Blood through a glory hole, and it's called like Glorious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where he's holding the leg on the cover. It looks I
heard it's all right.
The trailer, because I was looking around on Shudder. I was like, what is there stuff that I want to see? And it was that, and Who Invited Them looks like it could be fun. That's also on Shudder that I haven't like. It kind of, you know what, that movie, I don't know, like, it's on another Shudder exclusive. I swear to God, it's the same exact house from The Invitation.
Oh, I saw a preview for that, because The Invitation I've seen, and I saw a preview for the other one, and I thought the same thing too. I was like, those look like the same.
The exact same house. Yeah, it looks like they shot it in the exact same California house, and it's like, interesting. It looks like it could be like, it looks like a combination of like that movie and like something like the Who Invaded, like one of the home invasion movies. But yeah, so I I've been really weird with like actually watching stuff the last whatever amount of days, but
well, you
my wife
went
and
to you've been streaming, doing your thing, and went to this that concert and stuff. So yeah, you know.
Yeah.
What about you,
Dude,
Kin?
Ken's been watching. Wow, I'm tired. I've been watching a lot of the Jordan Peele movies. So we watched Us and Nope, and I've been watching Lock and Key in the afternoons.
My wife just watched all of that.
What is that?
Really?
It's a Netflix series based off of books, right? Like a series of books, which I guess like they've tried to make it more than once now. Like they like tried to make it on Fox or something and then canceled it, and then Netflix made it. And like, I don't know all the specifics about it. My wife liked it, but some of the things she goes, these characters do the dumbest shit, and it drives
They
me
really
crazy.
do. They really do. There's a girl on there whose name is my name, because my name is Kinsey, and it's spelled the same way, and you never see it anywhere. So anytime she does something and they call her out, and I'm like, why are you so stupid, Kinsey? And I'm like, wait, what? It's like, you never. It makes me laugh. And then somebody came in chat the other day and they were talking about Kinsey and they spelled it wrong. And I was like, no. My name is never in a movie. My name is never on anything. If you're going to spell it, you're going to spell it right. But no, Lock and Key it's been really interesting. It's been really good. But yeah, the characters, they do some really dumb stuff, but it's been pretty good.
Yeah,
I tried
they just wrap it up.
I tried to watch that Foo Fighters horror movie yesterday, and I had to fucking turn it off because it was.
I wanted to watch that.
I'm a fan of the Foo Fighters, and it was just like the comedy and the acting. It just wasn't hitting, and it was making me cringe so bad that I literally was like, I'm becoming less of a fan of the Foo Fighters watching this. I have to fucking turn this off.
I heard that
Is it
Dave
called like a
Grohl,
Motel 69 or something?
Studio 666.
Studio 666. It's on the Plex.
I turned on what is that? Fall instead, and like,
oh, is that the movie or the guy on the top of the or someone on top of a giant like radio on top?
The two girls. It was like exactly
girls.
what you expect it's going to be. Just like anxiety on top of anxiety on top of anxiety on top of more anxiety, and then a whole bunch of like really like in your face foreshadowing. It's like, well, that's going to come back, and that's going to, oh, there it is. There's the but at the end, I liked it. You know, like you see the audience score and the critic score right at the 3/4 mark, 75% is a perfect like score for that movie. It does what it needs to very, very well. It looks like it was like, you know, budget conscious, but you know, really well done, like packaged film.
I hate, dude. No, I my first ever like 12-hour stream. I played Richie's Plank Experience, which is literally it's a VR thing where you're up on top of a skyscraper, and because I was like, if you did 50 fucking, and they literally have you fucking put out a 2x4. And you're walking on the 2x4 in the VR. They're like, you're seeing it. And there are clips of me just losing my goddamn mind because I was fucking, I was like, no, not gonna do it. Knock in. Because in VR, it's just like, you see, you're like, I'm gonna die. I'm like, you do it for a little while and it like, your brain eases up a little bit because it realizes you're not gonna actually fall and hit the fucking pavement. But nah, man, fuck that. Fuck that.
Like, I don't mind heights, and I like nothing in games really gets me. Like, it'll jump scare me and stuff. But watching things fall in games or in person, like, it doesn't matter. Watching something fall makes me so anxious that I usually just am like, but I could never do that. Like, I don't have a fear of heights, but there's no way, because I know that I would fall and I'd have to watch it happen. And
nope. Fuck
and
that.
what Barbarian comes out next week or this week, right?
Yeah, and Friday comes out. Yep.
Dude, we got to try and get that for the show for next week. I love like going out of our way. It just takes me back in time to like my whole start of doing like content on the internet, because like that's how I made my start. Was we would go to the theater and see like 2 movies every week, for a weekly show we were doing. It was so much money and so much time invested, but it's like to go out of your way to a theater movie to be like right first in line to review it and stuff. I love that shit, man.
Kane, have you seen X yet?
No.
So there is a very there's a very elderly and there's also a very porn aspect of that movie. And I took my wife to it and she had no idea. And she goes, "What's the movie about?" I'm like, "You'll see."
It's called X for a reason.
And she was like, "What the fuck, dude?" And she enjoyed the movie, but she had no idea going in. And so I'm like, today I'm talking to her. I'm like, "We got to get tickets for Barbarian." She goes, "What's it about?" I'm like, "An Airbnb."
Oh God, I didn't know that's what it's about. I will never be able to stay at an Airbnb again because I watched.
Is.
Oh God, what was that horror movie that we watched a while back? Oh,
I've read something today. Barbarian is definitely done by a filmmaker that understands and respects and loves the genre and makes something like truly terrifying. And I recently, I don't know, like I've been looking into more like the top movies that were kind of go under the radar and stuff for this year for horror and stuff. And there's this one, I forget what it's called, but it looks like it's
Kids
really it's all about the like Sorry,
I found Barbarian and it has the best freaking lineup of people.
Oh yeah, it looks amazing.
Justin Long's in it. Which, by the way, they're going to make a sequel to Tusk, which makes me
are they
sad.
really?
Yes.
They always were. It's going to be the Moose Jaw movie.
I don't know. All I know is
he always said he had a trilogy for that like world in mind, and in that world, he did make that other shitty movie with his daughter in it. And
with the Hitler sausages. Yeah, I know. Yoga Hooters. The movie.
So this movie is that I'm talking about hypochondriac. Yeah, that's what it's like all about like mental illness stuff, and it looks like really fucking mental. Like just like it looks really well done, but it looks like it's just gonna be like hard to watch type thing. So
what's it called? Hypochondriac?
Yeah, it looks really well done actually.
I saw it on someone's Plex today, but
Ooh.
So let's dive in. We're 20 something minutes in, but it's the whole how we do these things. But we're talking about.
We always do that, man.
I know. I'm not complaining, Josh. I'm just talking out loud to you lovely people. So yes, we're talking about American Mary from 2012, and it has Josh. It reads as follows. The lure of easy money sends Mary Mason, a medical student, into the world of underground surgeries, which ends up leaving more marks on her than her so-called freakish clients. So I literally knew nothing about this film. I had heard about it. I might have read the synopsis. And this is just a trigger warning because this movie needs trigger warnings. For one, it's got a rape scene in it. And rape scenes I always like are worth warning about, like trigger warnings, because obviously plenty of people have been sexually
pretty intense.
Yeah,
this movie, there's a lot of parts in this movie that will make a bunch of audiences very uncomfortable on purpose.
Yeah,
like this is also body horror done way better than other body horror movies. So just putting that out there.
The scene in the fucking the warehouse or whatever with the doctor is just like
in the storage unit with the doctor on the hooks.
Yeah, it's just like,
well, we are spoiling like crazy, but my poster is big spoiler town anyways. But that's like, if you know anything about this movie, it goes straight to that. Like they made like an actual like fake and it's like in like a museum now in Canada somewhere.
Oh, is
it's like
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That scene, the fucking effects on that scene alone, like it's one of the things about this movie that I wish they would have done more of, but I understand they didn't because of budgets and whatnot. they don't show the after effects of her fucking surgeries. And like you do get the weird cock picture like halfway through. That's
But
like
for the
You get
most
the
part,
girl with the nipples and the areolas that were shaped, or the areolas shaped into hearts.
Yeah.
and-
like for the
Yeah,
most
you see
part, yes, but like it's not about that. It's about her
yeah.
doing it, and like she would
I know-
only
I
see
know.
them leave bandaged up. So I feel like if it was more about like showing that, it would have been, I don't know.
I know. I just
It would've
really
taken
wanted to
away
see
a
what
bit.
this. I wanted to see what the sisters looked like
I
after.
did too.
Yeah.
What with their
Yeah.
left arms?
If
Yeah,
they
they're-
worked, yeah, if the arms actually worked.
Well, the arm that in the fucking. She made them look like demons. Like that was like.
Oh right.
That was
Yeah.
something that I was thinking about with this is like at that time, I feel like I remember body modifications were really starting to like come to the forefront. And I don't mean like splitting tongues or piercings or anything like that. Like the more,
I knew a bunch of
intense.
people into it like at that time.
yeah.
The
And it feels
technology
like it was
stuff.
that time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It really was.
Like technology stuff in them specifically, right? Like they were like the cyberpunk body mods. Like I think was really like what was going on around that time. I think
I
so.
knew some
Well, because
people
we
that
had
like
the
hooked and like hung
Yeah.
from hooks and like on the weekends and stuff. And I'm like, you just do that on the weekend? Like that's
just do it on the weekend, just hanging around. It's fine.
I'm it's the people you kind of hang around, you know, like we all have tattoos and piercings or
Mhm.
whatever. And it's like, those are like very like low level body modifications. And it's in that world, right? So like I knew a bunch of people that just went, I didn't know how into
Yeah.
body mods they were. And then I found out that some had like ladders on their penis and some had like full like, yeah, like whatever. I'm like, wow, I didn't know
I
that.
always wanted the corset piercing, but
That-
like
The sisters
cool.
had that, and it looks real. It like that one seems like way more like doable than a lot of the
doable,
things.
but it
Yeah.
also scares me because I feel like it would get ripped out so easily.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if like at that time frame, there was also the guy that was turning himself into like a lizard.
Yeah.
There was the woman that had turned herself into a vampire, and they were all doing the body mods with the like silicone build outs and stuff. And there's a few people that I know that got like slid like silicone hearts in their ribs and stuff, and it was just really big at this time. And did you ever think about getting anything
No.
done to that
Not-
extreme?
No, I love tattoos. I would cover myself in tattoos, but like there's nothing of that.
I have
has
my
ever
conch
appealed to me.
like punched. Like I don't know if you can
Yeah.
see
Is it
this.
punched out?
Yeah, I have like the 2 gauge.
Oh, that's cool.
But
That's really
that's
cool.
where like, you know, with that that was like nothing, and they had like crazier stuff. And then the guy that I trusted to do my mods or whatever stopped piercing and stopped doing it, and I wanted to like get it on the other one, but I like symmetry. So
I have a story with the lizard man because
Okay.
that man appeared at a festival I saw when I was still living in Cleveland, and it was a Jägermeister tour, and he was going around with them. It was like a festival, like with like things like corn and like saliva. I don't even remember who was on it, but like this motherfucker went on stage, chugged a bunch of fucking Jägermeister, inserted a tube down his nose into his stomach, pumped all of it out, and then was doing shots of the Jägermeister with like someone he brought up from like that from the crowd. Yeah.
wait,
And
hey,
yeah.
you gotta center yourself, Rod. You're way too far. There you go.
Well, so that happened, and then the other thing that reminded me of with all this stuff, the hanging guys, like with the hooks from their backs. Like, if you ever watched, what was that Dave Attell's show on Comedy Central where he went around at night places? Do you know what I'm talking about? That was like back in the day on Comedy Central where he would like go like do things that were like happened in the middle of the night. And he went to Cleveland, and there was like a body mod like group in Cleveland. And this is after I'd already like, I went and saw Mushroom Head. If you guys know who Mushroom Head is, like the kind of like a Slipknot
No, I
vibe,
don't.
but like metal band that was actually stationed out of Cleveland. They had like one song that kind of like went big. I think it was called Sun Doesn't Rise. Maybe it was the big one. I don't know. But anyways, they had these same people that Dave Attell saw. Like they were like hanging from hooks and like swinging around and shit. Like like, you know, before they're playing and stuff like that. And I was just like, what? Like,
I see that stuff at actually, yeah. There was like a hexpo or whatever, and they had the whole like the fire dancers and that type of stuff. But then there's like people swinging, like they were attached by their skin, just swinging like over the crowd, like no big deal. And I'm just like,
I missed most of it at the concert the other day because I was waiting in line for merch, but they had the cherry bombs. Do you guys know what the cherry bombs are? They kind of like metal Cirque du Soleil kind of stuff with all like really pretty chicks like hanging around and stuff. But they were like doing the like they had the metal plates on their like right in front of their pussies, and they were like grinding them at each other, so they're like sparking like at each other.
I've seen that, yeah.
And I'm like, God, like, because I literally took like an hour and a half to get fucking merch because the fucking line was so goddamn long. But yeah, so the stuff is out there, but it's never like
it got him too aroused. He didn't know what to do, and he was just like, God, I need fucking merch for this so I can remember this day. Rod.
It was glorious, Josh. Glorious. Yeah.
That was Rod.
I like, you know what's funny though? Like, it seems like all this stuff is like pretty reversible. Then you get to the stuff like tongue splitting, and that's just like
that's whatever.
That doesn't seem like you could ever fix it. Like, but it doesn't seem like it affects you all that much outside of like you end up getting a lisp from that, right? Like, I don't know if I know anyone who has one of those, but I think they always
someone that had top and bottom lips stretched and then the tongue stretched and then they split it eventually, but had like a full on like tunnel in the tongue first. So it was like they stretched it until it split.
Sounds painful.
I don't sound painful.
Who knows, right? Like, I don't know. Like, and then a whole bunch of people that had, you know, punched out septums and stuff too. So it was just like, then they could put more rings through it. And like, my friends had like, you know, massive, like 2-inch ear, like they just put their lobes over top of their, like, I don't know.
Do your ears hang low? Do they?
I had like 3/4 of an inch at one point, and like, you can hardly even tell. They close up pretty nice. So.
They don't do that. Like, people don't stretch or gauge out anything as much as they used to, right? Like, I mean, I think people still gauge a little bit, but they don't gauge like they did when we were younger.
Yeah, I was like part of the early 2000s hardcore scene in Canada. And like, it was like, that's the thing with like anything that music wise that comes with like a dress code or like a style that comes along to, like grunge music had the grunge style that came. And I think that like elevates the music and makes it more mainstream or makes it like more appealing to like more people. But then it also makes it like disappear way faster because it will come and go like a fashion trend will as well. So I don't know. It was fun to be a part of, but then also it went away quick. And yeah, stretching was part of that shit.
My wife and I were just talking about the trend stuff today, and we're talking about how she was bringing up how like those fucking horrible glasses from the 70s are coming back. That look,
everything
look
from
like
the 70s are coming back.
You get the
everything,
Jeffrey Dahmer glasses coming back though, and I'm just like, why are those things coming back? And like why do you want to eat people? Like, I don't know, man. Those glasses just, you look like a serial killer with wearing those, and I'm just like,
well, maybe they are, Rod. Maybe they are.
Kid, I had a stream elements going, hey, do you want to sell glasses on your channel? I'm like, no. No. Like, maybe if I still had glasses, I would like consider it, but like, nah, man. I'm like,
what about penis glasses? Dude,
I one time we were talking about this. Oh yeah, Kim's dude was telling me about the Reddit for cosplaying penises the other day. It's a whole subreddit of cosplaying penises because I was telling him about how one time I photoshopped like a top hat and a cape and like a mustache on a cock, and it looked like the most gentlemanly penis you'll ever see.
It's like putting arms on birds.
Yeah, or snakes. I love putting arms on snakes. Like
Oh, I just found my new passion.
Arms on Birds is the best, man. I like seriously
But
got
they
lost.
don't exist.
What, on Reddit they do?
No, birds don't exist.
You tell that to Isabel then, like,
Oh,
that I'm being attacked by
They're not real.
some kind of cryptid then, because that thing is
God,
fucking-
somebody's gonna think I'm serious.
oh.
So if you're listening to this and you don't know, there are actually people like the people that thought the Earth was flat wasn't bad enough, and then they decided that birds weren't real. And then
You ever get time, watch the interviews with that guy, because it is amazing. The guy who set all that shit up and like created that whole conspiracy theory. He's so funny, and the whole thing is hilarious. But anyway, sorry.
I gotta ask you guys. Here's my ADD mind, just because it's like kind of this thing that's happening. It's this big, polarizing. Like either people hate it or they love it. Has any of you watched the Lord of the Rings show? And what did you
we were
think?
talking about that while you were trying to get your shit done. I watched episode 1.
I watched episode 1 as well, so I think this is a good little like ADD. Open the drawer, talk about it, close the drawer, and get back to the movie.
so what my point was, I think, Ken, did you say you watched it?
I haven't, but you guys can spoil it. It's fine.
It's not even out. I don't want to spoil it.
No, there's nothing really to spoil, anyways. From
it's just
the first.
It's just more reasons for racist people to get angry about things, because they actually have like black elves and black hobbits and all this stuff in it. And is
that a thing that's happening? Seriously?
Yeah. Oh, the racists are so upset about it.
I didn't know that. Oh my God.
I follow a movie guy who like reviews movies and stuff, and he's just been like I see him dealing with the trolls, and he just quote tweets these idiots, and they're all like, "I'm not racist. Oh, you're disrespecting J.R. Tolkien because they're all white." Shut the fuck up, you racist piece of shit. Here's another thing. I'm gonna go off on a fucking another tangent. If you're mad that there are fucking non-white hobbits and mythical creatures, one, fucking elves aren't a real thing, you dumb motherfuckers. Two, it's fucking imaginary and none of it's real. And three, you're racist and you're a piece of shit. If you're mad about black elves, you're racist and a piece of shit. The end. There's no more discussion necessary. You are racist and you need to look in the mirror and wonder why you are the way you are. Go play in traffic, you fucking piece of garbage.
This is why I asked the question, by the way, because I thought Rod might go on a tangent. That's good quality fucking content. I don't know. You hear the people talking about like, it's a fucking mess. It's this, it's that. I don't know. Like, I don't think it's a mess. I think there's like stuff that they definitely tonally didn't get right, but like the lighting, the cameras and lens choices, and just like everything just looks so good.
Special effects look really good. Yeah,
they spent all the time, money, and effort on that part, but like then it goes cheeseball. I like the insurgence of actual people that, you know, like it covers more. When is that a bad thing? It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel heavy-handed. I didn't notice whatsoever. I didn't know it was an issue. And honestly, fuck all those racist people anyways, because this is Murder Moose. They're all cuckoo.
The snow. There's a snow troll in the first episode that looks really cool. Also, you just had me asking another question. Does Amazon stream their shit at like their fucking shit always looks worse than Netflix and Hulu.
It looks good where I watched it, and it wasn't on Prime. It looked amazing.
Everything from Amazon's things just seem like they stream them at a lower quality. Like, and it's always been.
You can probably up it. It's probably just to like kick it off quick.
Maybe I'm just doing something wrong also, but yeah, I liked it. Ken, you'll like it because I know you like Lord of the Rings. I haven't seen the second episode, but
I haven't. I really loved Lord of the Rings, and I'm not into fantasy stuff usually. I still want to check out the new Dragon whatever show too.
House of the Dragons. Yeah, I need to start that too, but like, yeah, Matt Smith's in it. And I fucking love Matt Smith. Like Matt Smith.
we have such a dilemma right now, guys. We're in like the golden age of like TV because it's not on TV. It's on streaming platforms. It's all done so cinematically. Everything is like done at such a high level, and we have to argue about what's better. And like we used to not get shit, and now we have too much. It's a good problem to have. So, hey, I'm here for it.
Yeah. There's a lot, man. I mean, my wife and I, we just went through Orville. I talked about like last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, and I love the show. And it's one of those things that I think stuff gets canceled really fast now too, which is the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the Resident Evil show like a couple weeks ago, Ken, and like how you liked that a lot, and not everyone liked it. Dude, that also there was another thing that reminded me that if a show you didn't like,
let me know, Rod.
Canceled, don't fucking celebrate. Like there are plenty of people that fucking enjoy
the Rod
content.
Rant Show.
I mean, because people are fucking just like let people love what they love. Let them like enjoy things. Let them do. If they're not hurting you, let them fucking be. Let them fucking love things. Let them love like. If you didn't like the Resident Evil show, so what? There are people that like to. Also, there are fucking tons of people that fucking like put their heart and soul into something like that and try to make something good.
Rod is fiery today.
Well, that's when you guys were talking about indie movies and like trying to, give them a voice and a platform and like elevate them and not tear them apart. I feel like, at least from my perspective, I feel the same way when it comes to video games. And like, as I try really hard not to like shit all over a game unless it's Mirror's Edge. But otherwise, like I try really hard not to shit all over a game. Because, you can be like, oh, well, I wish that this was improved and this was improved and this was improved. But
you don't know their team size. You don't know. You
don't know. It could be one person. It could be 100. You don't know. And you also don't know if they're going to see it. Like a lot of people assume that people aren't listening. Well, the same goes for movies. Like people are listening. Like people are watching. Those are, that's the work that they put in. And
I had it come back at me negatively once, or actually more than once. Where like the producers and then the filmmakers and the filmmakers' family came into my comment section on YouTube, and I was like, oh, fuck me. Like, oh my God. Like I felt just like, I don't feel like I tore into it too much, but they felt like they felt obligated to like defend themselves in my comment section. And I felt disgusting, to be honest, because I thought that until that point, I thought that no one, like whatever. And then I started seeing the trend of those smaller indie reviews that no one reviews them. So I was like the only one sometimes. So like they are going to watch it, and it's a thing, right? So I felt so terrible.
It's. The only thing I will never feel bad about shitting all over is Sharks of the Corn, because that movie.
Yes.
That movie. Yes. It made me sad. Yeah, I think Jerry talked about that on the podcast at one point. Where like he was on an old he had an old podcast and he shit all over some movie, and then like the next week one of the people came on and they're like, "Yeah, we're not going to do this if he's so he couldn't do his own podcast because he had shit." And it was like a learning thing for him too.
As big as this, especially like the indie world, it's in Canada too. Like I'm as years go on, I meet more and more, but then I start realizing how tight knit and how small it actually is. And I think that's like true with any smaller niche. Like we are on the like creators platform. YouTube's massive, but when it comes down to it, if you're in a sub niche, probably half the people in that sub niche that you're a part of, because you chose that, and it's a community thing. And if you're there to shit, people are gonna fucking see it, right? So
constructive criticism is great, but
yes,
it's like I fucking hate Mirror's Edge, but I will sit and say to this day, for its time, it was a great game, but I fucking hate that game. But I mean, I can see why people like it. I'm not going to go out and cancel, but I fucking hate that game.
It's very often that like
I love it.
there aren't very many games that like make me angry like when I'm playing them. But did you ever play Song of Horror? That one made me upset because like the random deaths and like it just felt like it was like cheesing me, and I'm just like, and
I've seen you like I'm not at you in your stream all the time, but most of the time I am. You're fucking doing this.
I mean, I'm very enthusiastic, but like, I'm not the only one. Like, the only streamer I know who got through that game, and I don't care if you got through, you would be the second one, was Zeke. Like, Katie Peters quit it. Domestic Dan quit it. Like, everyone I know that tried to play that game besides Zeke quit it. And it was like, because I would just play it for like 3 days and then lose all my progress. And I was just like, because you would like lose all your, it was like a game of Mario where you lose all your lives and have to start over again. And just the mechanic, yeah, that game drove me crazy. But yeah, I try not to. I try real hard. I quit playing a Fatal Frame the other day because I got like 7 or 8 hours in, and I'm like, this is boring me. I can't do it anymore. But it's
that's the worst part, or that's the worst thing any type of entertainment can do.
Yeah,
it's like I'm here to be entertained. Like, take me away or show me something I haven't seen, or do just whatever. And if it's boring, it's like, oh no, like you've committed the worst crime there is to entertainment. You were fucking
That's the worst.
Yeah, I played 5 hours of this game and did not finish it.
Yeah, it just drove me. I tried it twice. Like, I tried it when it came out, and then like a year later, I tried to go back. I was like, I'm gonna go do it this time. Nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
Oh yeah, we're talking about a movie.
We are.
Sorry.
No, that was me. What are you talking about? I was the one that said I opened the ADD drawer. This is me closing the ADD drawer. Getting back to this movie right here. American Mary. Yo! Okay, those are the wrong buttons. Okay.
It's funny because like I didn't knew. I'd heard about this movie, and I think I'd probably heard about the context to the rape, because rape is always, even in horror, it's like one of those things you're gonna automatically like kind of like push some people out, and then you're gonna shake a lot of people, right? We talked about Revenge on here, Josh, which is have you ever seen Revenge? There was like a French film, and it's another revenge like kind of
it's like
movie
it's I Spit on Your Grave but French.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And it's a thing. Yeah, you go back, you talk about I Spit on Your Grave and like The Last House on the Left, and these notorious rape movies that like have stuck out a lot. And it's like it's a very sensitive subject, right? It's something that's very like not easy to watch, not easy to do. I think that like often it makes it, when coming from a woman's perspective, like if you have women film directors like this, like we have 2 women directing this movie, it always, I think, is an easier subject to handle. Not easy still, that when women are approaching it, because they're telling this kind of trauma event from their perspective. It's not from a dude, which makes it a little like, can make it cringy, like even like, I mean, like Wes Craven directed The Last House on the Left, right? And like I Spit on Your Grave was Wes Craven that did like Last House on the Left, or was it I Spit on Your Grave? I always forget which one he did, but like whichever one he did, it's like it was The Last House. Okay. And you're just like,
the I Spit on Your Grave remake was
Cunningham did I Spit on Your Grave, right? Sean Cunningham, the guy who did he was associated with it, but he is associated with one of those. But,
yeah.
Can you agree that like that kind of makes it a little more like, because it feels like a woman storyteller kind of like, or women in this like storyteller like kind of doing their perspective of something like this?
I think so. I think that like it's such a delicate subject, and it's such a heavy subject matter, and having like just from the movie perspective, the camera angles for that scene, I think were done really well, because it definitely gave the person like the ability to see how she actually felt, and like you felt for her. It wasn't like, oh, we're watching this from a distance, but like, and I think that you're 100% right, because there's a lot of like novelists and writers and whatever that I read. And if it's a male trying to give a female perspective, it's very awkward and very cringy. And it definitely needs, when it comes to such sensitive subjects, it definitely needs at least advisement from a woman.
Like the teacher, and honestly, like there's a few different characters in this movie that are just like the tone of them and how like just aggressive they are, and like they have zero empathy for any. Don't fuck up. Fuck you. Don't be like. I'm just like, holy shit, you're so abrasive and so like. You're like the worst person I've ever seen. And then you realize, no, he literally is the worst person ever. Yeah.
Every scene with that professor who's the doctor who rapes her is like, you're like, this guy's a total piece of shit. Like he's like, he's like swearing at her, and he's like, but he has this weird thing that he like, you could tell he's into her because he seems annoyed with her, but he's still talking to her. And like, why are you doing
like Dom-esque, like when he's like talking to her about school and don't fuck up, don't be late by class, blah, blah, blah. Like he definitely, and I think that also comes back to female directors, like they're definitely trying to get it out there early, like here's a problem, this is what you know, this is how we view it.
I think it's that thing where guys will never ever understand what it's like to be a woman in this world, right? And that's like why that you talk about it being awkward and everything like that. It's that thing where the world changes so much based on your sex, which is, it's not something that everyone wants. Obviously, most people don't want, but like it changes based on your sex. And women, I mean, you're a woman streamer, Ken. You know the shit you have to put up with. Or even
we were talking even before, like it's not just that, there's bigots, races, like there's everything. It changes. Like Rod and I are like part of the fucking privileged white male fucking pack of, but to lump us in with the majority of it kind of sucks. I don't like being associated with that. Just I don't know, like yes, I am white and male, but I'm also a lot of other better things than that. I would say
I've known for a long time that being a white male is a thing where you go, okay, like I was saying this in high school, like the thing I can complain about being a white male is not having anything to like you can't complain about anything. Like even if there are, it's hard even when you do have things to complain about, because it's like, but it's it's like, there's a lot, man. And it's
not to complain. It's more like, I don't know, like, because there are sub genres and niches of people too. And to lump everyone in together in a category is just a terrible thing to do as well. Because then it's a two-way street, right? Like I like to each their own and have humanity, you know, like because like when you get down and like just on yourself, you will start to, you know, get down on other people as well. So like it I don't understand, like people that are racist, were they hurt in some way by like someone of a different race? It doesn't make sense to me. Like have some humanity and love like other human beings, because we're all here and in this together regardless. And to I don't know, man, like it just doesn't make sense.
I think a lot of the times it's just taught. You're just taught racism. You're taught racism by your parents or friends or people around you. Relatives,
just be like Psycho Gorman. Actually,
love Monkey Boys, and that's all.
Well, he kills everyone equally.
But also the thing is that I think that they take something in this movie and they kind of like amplify it, is that surgeons are kind of like have a god complex, right? Like it's kind of thing that
like when they're at the party and the guy is like, she's like, what's your name? And he's like, I'm a motherfucker who cuts people up or whatever, and you're like,
Yeah. That
Everyone was so gross at that party.
Well, dude,
it was
He wouldn't tell. You know why he wouldn't tell her his name? Because he's the one who fucking drugged her, right? Like he drugged her,
Right.
and then like you go, oh, okay, and then but like every single one of them seems like a fucking sociopath. Like you see, like the first, like you know what's happening, like. You can kind of tell, like see her drink get spiked, and you go, "Oh shit!" And then like how everyone's talking, and like then when he's dragging her back to the bedroom, you see that girl like fucked up on the like bar. It looks like, and there's like a guy just sitting there jerking off, and you're like, and it's all that, and you're like, what? And it's just like it's horrifying, and it's that. I mean. The thing that kind of seems unbelievable with that whole thing is like you have all these like super educated, super like, not that these people wouldn't be doing these things, no, but they're like doing them like at a party where it's like, hey,
welcome
guys,
to my home.
Let's go commit felonies and be terrible human beings and like violate people's rights.
What is that fucking guy's end game anyways? Like the teachers, like you're gonna do that and then expect like nothing, and it's a student that is actively like it is kind of like the thought process of someone that is doing that. I don't think would have done that.
Oh no, you know what it is? It's a thing of power, because that shit happens all the time when someone in power above someone goes, they can't do anything about it. It's the one, no one's gonna believe her. It's the auto that, but then two, it's gonna be like, oh, she's just mad because of my grade. Like it's the like you don't have. They're never gonna believe her kind of thing. It's the arrogance. It's the God complex. It's all that shit.
It's that I have the power in my hand to destroy your entire existence, to blacklist you. Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people like that. And a lot of them aren't in our bubbles anymore. But like it's really hard. I mean, and that comes from both, like from all sides, right? Yeah. Because like, you know, I feel like a lot of people deal with it and like guys don't talk about it a lot, or you know, but I know from firsthand being in a situation with people who have been like, I can destroy your career, and you're like, and they're like, so what you need to do is this, and you have to be like, well, but and they're like, well, there goes that, and you're like,
it's like the very first.
Really talking in circles. Sorry.
No, because you're trying to avoid specifics, and that's what it is. Because because
it puts you in the same position that we're talking about, right? Yeah. Like I can't talk about certain things that have happened when it comes to that, because it's the same situation, and it's really hard.
I had a friend like back when I was in my Hearthstone podcast who was a Hearthstone player. She traveled to a fucking tournament in fucking Europe, got raped by a motherfucker, and then like nobody would have believed her because of it. And then on her way out, because she committed suicide because she was in pain. Like it was like chronic pain. She fucking roasted the motherfucker on her way out, and it's like, well, I'm glad that you at least said something like, Walt, that was there, like you can let people know that this person was a piece of shit. And it's because it's the same thing. It's the self-doubt. I know women talk about like what did I do to, you know, it's the blaming yourself, even though you shouldn't blame yourself. It's all those things. And it's like, you get PTSD. You're literally something like event like this is a PTSD. So you're traumatized, and you're like just trying to recover, man. And it's like, what I love about how Catherine Isabel plays Mary, she fucking, that scene where she wakes up and she just lets that tear go down her face is so like heartbreaking, because it's like you just see this traumatic thing, but it's like that she knows what happened, and like it's not like some like drunk distant memory. It's like, no, she knows what happened.
And she woke up beside him, like
yeah, he was just like and I've never seen someone who I enjoyed more watch them get tortured to death, because this motherfucker deserved it in 1,000 times more. But it's just, god damn, man, god damn, son. So yeah, there's a lot this movie really does tell, and it's like a lot about so like Mary has the like kind of God complex that we're talking about because of almost a surgeon, but like it's also that like whole system of becoming what you want to be has like the price of being what you want to be in our society, right? Like what was like she's getting her cell phone turned off, she's getting like student collections that are coming after her because she can't pay for anything, and it drives her to go into like she basically goes to a strip club to like, it seemed like she was going to start giving out happy endings or something like that. Like it was like
I think
whatever.
she went specifically to dance, and that was the whole thing. But the guy made things very like weird, and he was weird in general. But
I felt like a lot of the characters, because obviously it's written by one person, I felt like a lot of the characters kind of felt like one person that potentially something happened in that person's life, and all of these characters that were really stupid.
My sisters wrote it, but yeah, but it's those two people. But yeah, the sisters wrote it. Jen and Sylvia Soska.
Yeah,
both.
But like, I feel like they had a lot of the same tone for a lot of the characters. A lot of them kind of felt like one thing.
Yeah,
like me. You know, like it was all one tone,
one dimensional.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the crime people, especially, right? Like it was the crime people, like it all like what's his name? It was like Billy. Billy was the main guy who kind of did it, and like also had some of the more weird scenes in the film that like you keep catching Billy fantasizing about her,
because we were talking about that before. Like when a male is writes female characters, unless you're like Quentin Tarantino, who just really understands how to write like dialogue and write people, and like I think he does a really good job with female characters, but like some movies either or, like you can feel that, like I don't know, but I think it was almost probably supposed to be that way for this, because like she is going into a world that is an uphill battle probably, and she is then a rock star like really quickly, and doesn't even realize what she's done, and is like sought out like crazy, like instantly, like wow, your work is amazing, and the fact that you're willing to kind of be a part of this world and you're this good at it, like you're going to be a hot commodity, and you're going to have a lineup out your door for people that want to.
Well, dude, it's funny because the other female characters in the movie are generally pretty interesting. Like, right, like Ruby with her Betty Boop look and all that stuff, like in her like kind of weird voice, and like got that modified and everything like that. And then her friend, I don't know if I know what her friend's name was, that like was kind of the catalyst to everything towards the end of the
catalyst. You heard it here. Catalyst. It's the catalyst.
But like all that stuff is like, she was interesting too. Even the sisters were interesting because that like they modified. It was just like it's easier to write about stuff we were just talking about how the female characters in the film were actually way more interesting than the guy characters, like Ruby and the twins and the one she modifies, the first one she modifies. I don't know if I see her name.
Technical difficulties. Yeah, no, we're good. Like, let me see. Oh yeah, Super HD. Oh my God, it's Rod, you look fucking fantastic. There we go.
You know what is funny also about the men in this movie too? Like even the cop like seemed like kind of like ineffective. Like he was just like, "Hey, anything that you want to tell me?" Oh no, like doesn't like it. Like he was like. It was very, again, it makes sense because coming from a woman's perspective, and it's just there's a lot, man. But I did really like
or maybe it's Canadians' perspectives of just like Americans, and they think that
why Okay, this is another thing. Do you think that they named this movie American Mary because they weren't going to go with Bloody Mary? Because of Bloody Mary being the thing with, like, looking in mirrors and Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary kind of thing. Do you think they probably went with American Mary just because of that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Her name was America.
They called her Bloody Mary.
Yeah. I remember being a little kid and thinking Bloody Mary was fucking horrifying. And that was way before I had ever seen Candyman, because I didn't see Candyman until in my 30s. But
what?
Yeah, I didn't see Bloody Candyman until probably like 3
I
or 4
remember
years ago.
doing Bloody Mary like at like a sleepover in like elementary, and it was like, just like you bring out the Ouija board and you do like all the like creepy shit.
That's not how you do Bloody Mary.
No, but like it's. I'm talking about the whole fucking sleepover, Rod. Fucking shut up, Jesus.
Now they did an episode on American Horror Stories recently about Bloody Mary that was kind of interesting. It was a little bit different than the usual.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that they would do on Are You Afraid of the Dark and
I love
like
that show.
I did too, man. It was horror stuff was always like, I mean, from a very early age, that was shit that I connected to. Goosebumps and then scary
it was
stories
well
to tell in the
done
dark.
though. Like they were actually well done. Like
I still remember to this day being terrified of the clown episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and like the clown that was like I think he like put something under the door and was like inflating up and like
that was Canadian TV at its finest, man.
Was that Canadian? I didn't know that. I mean, it was just Nickelodeon for us. I don't know. I didn't know where the fuck it was coming from.
The only reason I know that is because a lot of the actors from Are You Afraid of the Dark like went on to like be part of like local TV channel breakfast television type stuff in Calgary and all that stuff, and like the main guy like submitted for the approval of the like he started dating one of the like girls from the like TV channel in Calgary and stuff. So I forget because I saw him one day. We were like downtown somewhere, and like my buddy was like obsessed with the like local TV show girl or whatever, and he's like, "Oh my god, it's my crush." And then it was like the guy from Are You Afraid of the Dark, and I forget what I said, but it mortified him because I brought him back to Are You Afraid of the Dark in front of his. I was no man, I wasn't trying to embarrass you. I love that show, but I said something that was just it mortified him, and
yeah, I want to talk about the we talked about it a little bit. They don't show a whole lot in this movie, like with her operation. Although the first thing she does, where like the club owner guy like gets her to like fix up this dude, and you go, what the fuck are they doing to this guy? Because he's got like, it looks like they split his like
lip and eye,
and jawline, and like they were like. It looked pretty, and he's like missing an eyeball, it looks like, and it's like pretty fucking groovy, but you don't really see much. I mean, the big special effects scene in this whole film is the doctor that raped her. Like when I really approve. Like they kind of make you think that she just killed the dude and got rid of him, but then you find out like 3/4 of the way through that like she's keeping him in this fucking warehouse and is just fucking him up. And the thing, I think that's also a
long torture, not just whatever. It's full on like you fucked
it's like audition.
Up.
It's like audition, man. Have you seen Audition, Ken?
Don't think so.
I have not either.
Did
I feel better now.
Okay, Jerry. Did me and Jerry and my buddy talk about it? Yeah, we talked about it on the podcast. You missed that one then, because Audition is a okay.
That was one of the ones that, because like we were gonna go at one point of the podcast, we were gonna deep dive into like all the like the list. Like everyone has that list of, oh my god, you can't. And then you and I started. No, like we talked about it. I wasn't there for Martyrs. It was one that I was like,
Audition. You did Audition.
Oh, I did Audition. I thought you said Martyrs.
No, I said Audition.
Audition's fucking nothing, man. Like
Yeah,
this
that's-
definitely reminded me a little bit of Audition, but like Audition is and we were saying like 80-20. No, it's like honestly 95% not a horror movie,
Look,
and then
it's a romantic-
5%
yeah,
there's
it's a
some
romantic
crazy shit that
drama,
happens. Yeah. And like
it's a romantic
this
drama. Yeah,
has way more, and it's way more like crazy, and there's
yeah,
and like they do a clever thing too where she's working on turkeys. Like first shot of the movie is a extreme close up of her cutting and sewing like
yeah.
raw chickens and raw turkeys and stuff, and it looks disgusting, but it helps show you like a visual of something that is disgusting but not at the same time, and it sets your like expectations to, oh my god, I'm gonna see some fucked up shit in this movie. And then when they pull back and not show you anything, you've already in your psyche seen these things, so you can like tie them together. And I think that aids the like indie budget and stuff.
Well, that's also the bookends of the film, right? You're getting the sewing of things at the beginning of the film and the very end of the film. Like she's sewing herself at the very end and sewing the turkey, and you're gonna see
poetic.
Like, yeah, you go from her just sewing turkeys together to like.
That scene breaks my heart. It's so beautiful, and watching her struggle, because she knows that she's not.
But they also zoom out and the top down shot with the blood looking like wings too. Like she's the angel of death, and like it's I don't know how, like it has to be intentional because there's so much like visual storytelling and like elements that just, I don't know. This movie stands out and stands the test of time.
It's so weird because I feel like that there's a point in this film where you kind of go, this character is not redeemable anymore, and that's, in my opinion, it's when she murders the guard, and you kind of know she has to do it because like he's gonna turn her in and arrest her or whatever. But it's like that redeeming point where like you can't say like the guy deserved it, right? The doctor deserved it, but the security guard didn't deserve that brutal death, and is also one of the most like brutal thing in the whole movie that you see outside of the rape, right? And
because when she's coming down and she's got her arms all the way back and slinging down, it was just like you could feel that whole scene is beautiful.
Yeah, it's just really well done, and it's just like, oh, she's really like, I mean,
she snapped, like it's done.
Yeah, the rape broke her. Like,
absolutely. Her. That's what I was gonna say. Like when the tear goes down her cheek, that's her soul leaving. She's done. Yeah. Like it's over. But then that was whatever's left of her is gone.
Yeah. And you go, oh, okay. And her, like, I mean, there's a difference between getting revenge and like like holding this dude, just watching this dude hanging from the ceiling, and like she's sewn his mouth shut. She's like removed his arms and legs, and you go, this guy deserved something. Is this too much? This isn't for me to say. You go questioning it, but the security guard did not need to be bludgeoned to death, even though like he caught her, so yeah, dude. But you go,
It's showing the trajectory of her character though, like because the first time she's helping someone who's in this, like you're talking about the split face, and she goes home and pukes and can't handle it, and then by that time she's already so hardcore that she is willing to and able to fucking bludgeon a guy to death because she's so deep.
She was desperation. Like she was desperate for money. And then it's just like, then she just doesn't give a fuck anymore. Right. And it's like, it's so weird that like, I do approve of like how they do it. Like the whole setup that towards the end of the film of how, or not even at the end of the film, but they set up what happens to her in the final act by like showing the one thing where it's like, oh, that's her and her husband, the Ruby girl. And then like you see Ruby open up her dress and like her husband just loses fucking mind. And then like
kind of reminded me of Let the Right One In.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah. And it's like, and then Beatrice, you see what happened to Beatrice and you're like, oh shit. Because Beatrice seems like she doesn't seem like the brightest crayon in the box, but she seems like, you know, just a genuine person who just wants to be happy. And that is through getting surgeries and all this stuff and wants to be friends with Mary and all that stuff. And it's like, and then Mary gets stabbed by this guy because like whatever, like I think they just implied that like, what she did to his wife is, even though it made his wife happy, it like insulted this guy's soul or something like that.
It goes back to like the whole one, like women doing this particular, like, because I mean, there's a lot of times that guys will, you know, take that control or take that power from a woman and be like, you're my wife, you can't do this. Or whatever. And so to show his, like, I think it was to show the extremity of that, like how far he was willing to go.
Yeah. It's a lot of like, because there's a lot going on for a movie that's like an hour and 47 minutes, I think it was, something like that.
It's cool world building though. Like it shows like a subgenre of a community that she didn't know, because you're seeing it through her eyes. She didn't know it existed. Yeah. But then it's like, it shows interesting enough characters that you really, like, I like that world anyways. I know a lot of really nice people in the Calgary community that are part of it and stuff. But like, I feel like that's why this movie, like, I don't know, like seeing it again and it having familiar faces and a familiar time and stuff. It's like, it's not an easy watch of a movie, but I felt like I was going back to like a familiar place, and I felt like, oh, I love this movie. Like, it's so well done. And these are really awesome characters. And like the sisters having their, like, I don't know, like to meet a bunch of people that have that much disposable income, to just like, it feels like throwing away to other people, but you don't understand it from their perspective. I mean, it is everything to them, right?
We're all covered in tattoos, right? And it's like what we enjoy being, and it's just taking that aspect and just pushing it a little further. Like I remember, I think the first time I ever saw anything body modification like in television was Nip Tuck. And if you ever watched the show Nip Tuck back in the day, and I think there was an episode about someone that wanted their legs cut off, like.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing about this time where people were doing. I don't remember what it's called, but I remember they did like a whole bunch of stuff on it. That was really wild. Yeah. That was a really interesting time.
There's a lot of stuff where it's like people telling people what they can't do with their own bodies, and it's like, it's like the whole like you like when the guy who wanted to be eaten, like if you remember those stories with the guy who was like dying or wanted to die and he wanted someone to eat him. It's that kind of stuff where it's like, what are the limits of like what we will take?
He really just wanted Rod and his like ass eating like abilities to come to the forefront, you know?
Dude, I have a superpower, and are you just attacking my superpower because like
I'm not attacking. Stuff. I was bringing it up in context. If he had someone with a superpower in his life, maybe he wouldn't want to die and have someone eat him.
Maybe, Josh. Oh, fuck, man. I didn't sleep very well last night because of my AC being out, and I'm sitting here going, I'm crashing all of a sudden. But Kim, this is a cool movie, and I'm glad you brought it up and picked it, because it's a movie that's like, I think that it just kind of like, I think it's even less known than Ginger Snaps. I think Ginger Snaps, like I was saying earlier, has a pretty decent like reputation in the horror community, but like this one is, I've heard less talk about over the years, and I had heard it mentioned and brought up, but like it was good to see, like, go and see this, because it feels indie, but it has that like you could see that the sisters love filmmaking. They love, you know, doing everything they do here, and they did a hell of a job with this. And Catherine Isabel is awesome as she always is, you know. So it was.
You're killing it with your selections, by the way. Like you came, like the threepeat started with like you brought up the first time that you wanted to do the double feature, and I was so into the Grindhouse, like love. I don't know. I think that's something that Quentin Tarantino and Rodriguez like loved like I've always loved going to like drive-in theaters, and it was always a grindhouse, like a double feature night. And I grew up with it, and I didn't know it was called a grindhouse, but like there's something to be said about like pairing movies together. Obviously, doing a sequel, Grindhouse, is like one thing, but like I don't know. I feel like we should intentionally come up with like a Grindhouse double feature to do again in the future.
Yes. I wonder how many problems we're gonna have editing out this episode, Josh. I don't know, like from your end with the recording where we're gonna be, but we'll figure it out. We'll see. Oh man. Also, I think that there's the
Rod's
one guy
crashing and Josh doesn't care.
Woo! Brain crashing. That's all it is. What is that noise? It sounded like a air tunnel.
My noise suppression, I think, is cutting it out, but it's an explosion. Maybe I'll just do that. That one doesn't get cut out, right?
God damn it, Josh. God damn it.
Yes! I know I'm successful in an episode if Rod has to say, God damn it, Josh, because...
I mean, it's true. Mm-hmm. It is. Okay. So is there anything else either one of you guys want to say about this before we like move on and like close out for the
Rod's going to let you talk now. Take it.
No, I think honestly, this movie, it really stood out for me when I first watched it, which was probably back when it came out. It's been forever. But I think that it holds its own still. I mean, it's been quite a while. It's been like 10 years since this movie came out. And I think it does a great job of storytelling. It does, after talking with everybody and talking with you guys, it does feel like the male characters are definitely a little bit flatter than I remember. But I do think that in its way for the storytelling, it kind of was necessary. And I do like the fact that they don't make her like out to be this amazing person. She's a sociopath as much as anybody else is. Yeah. It just it's almost like, how much is it going to take to break you, to put you into that position?
Yeah. I was saying earlier that this movie reminds me of times that American Psycho, like it's got American Psycho vibes, and like it's something that like you could see that like when you go into certain areas, it's like what's to surgery, like what American Psycho is to like the Wall Street, boardroom kind of thing. It's got that like, yeah, you go into these, and there's just a bunch of terrible people in this industry, and it's like, yeah, it's got that similar vibes, like in a lot of ways. And
I think what American Psycho does really well with its its dark comedy to showcase his mental health issues and stuff. Like it's set up like a joke almost right before he kills someone. And like a lot of them, like when he's explaining like the music that he's got Jared Leto sitting down and listening to, this is just a great album. Hey. And like doing, it's like, it's super dark comedy, but it's so well done. Whereas this one is like really,
it's way more
dark.
Serious about it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's dark and dramatic about it. Yeah.
That's why the Ice Nine Kills "Hip to Be Scared" song is so good, because he like goes into the whole thing about Ice Nine Kills like he does in the film, and it's like a chef's kiss for that whole thing.
Yeah.
But Josh, anything else you want to say about this before we get out of here?
I'm still I forget her name, the lead actress. I've been obsessed with her forever. To go back and just re-understand why I was obsessed with her, it's like she's so good in this. It's such a perfect character for her to play as well. And she's just so hot too. So it's like always easy to watch her on film too. So yeah,
it's funny because she was the best actor in Freddy versus Jason, and the only character that had any depth that was like kind of the humans in that movie are so bad.
But you have two of the most iconic slashers finally, and it was wasted, yes, but it was more like there's so many funny parts to that movie, and to see like where it was filmed, and then my buddies filmed one of their music videos in the same tunnel that whole long scene was. It was so cool to, I don't know. Canada.
That's
Canada. Come
the
on.
CG Alice in Wonderland worm stuff. You can watch that now, and that CG is it was probably rough back then, but yeah. Yeah, so we are next week we are doing Barbarian. So Barbarian. So we'll get a hold of that and watch that. So Kim,
Yes.
thank you again, you lovely human you, for
Thank
coming
you for
back.
having me.
Yay! Wait, I need a button for like where's the oh yeah, here we go. There we go.
Do you want to tell everyone where they could find your lovely self on the interwebs?
Sure. You can find me primarily at twitch.tv/continue, KINTINUE. You can also find me on Twitter with the same spelling. Instagram is official continue because someone is a jerk. And and I'm on TikTok doing weird stuff there. So
you were going, I saw you were doing dad jokes on TikTok the other day, and I'm like, oh, it's perfectly on brand.
It's everywhere.
Also,
I'm on Snapchat, all of them, dad jokes all day long. Let's go.
Nice.
You were posting pictures in that dress and looking smoking. So those were looking good. So
Thanks. Can I self brag for a second? Like,
yes, go.
Okay. So last year, I lost a whole bunch of weight. I lost like 100 and crazy amount, like 100 and whatever. And last year I had that dress. And like I thought, I haven't like lost anything. I've just gained a lot of muscle. That dress didn't fit. It fits now.
Yay!
The rib cage isn't supposed to shrink, but somehow it fits, and I'm thrilled. So whatever. Anyway.
I learned the unfortunate thing of wearing a dress on Saturday, where someone in my stream redeemed a cosplay, and they wanted me to wear a sundress, and I bought the sundress and didn't buy it big enough for my chest and didn't realize.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say your balls, and then
no, I mean my balls are a whole separate story. Those were the shorts, and the shorts or whatever. And I ended up having to wear the thing backwards because like the front wouldn't. It was like one of those you tie in the front and like.
See, these are normal rod issues.
Yeah. I'll put pictures in the chat afterwards, and you two can see those. Because
Yes.
there's something lovely. My wife put me on makeup, everything.
See, and everyone listening right now is like, "Fuck!" and we get to see it, and you don't. So
yeah, it's in my Discord too. But yeah, you could do that. But yes, so everyone, we are murdermoose.com. We are part of the Slashing Cast podcast network. Go out.
it's in the game.
Yes, exactly. Give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Come follow our YouTube. So just search Murder Moose Podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, I thought I was going to have more time to like look into that this last week, and it didn't happen. So
it's been a busy week. It's been a busy week.
This next week's going to be even busier, and then the week after that is even busier. So fuck.
We got Josh WRB everywhere. We have Rod_Johnson everywhere on Twitch and Twitter. And I think that's about it all. So follow us. Go to murdermoose.com. Come hang out wherever. So thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you for putting up with our craziness and having a good time. So we will catch you guys next week for Barbarian, and we'll have a good one. So catch you guys later. And